Hi, and welcome to a special Recovery What Recovery episode of His Division. I'm Glenn Reynolds. Well, if you believe President Obama, we've recovered from the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. But just how well has the recovery really gone? Well, here to talk about this are two veterans from Investors Business Daily, Andrew Malcolm and Associate Editor Terry Jones. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
So Michael Barone of the Washington Examiner, who's a numbers guy par excellence, ran the numbers, and here's what he found. Total national employment is down from the 2007 peak of 147 million to just 144 million. Meanwhile, labor force participation, the percentage of the adult population with jobs, has been hovering around 63%, the lowest since the glory days of 1978. All right, Terry, we've got 3 million fewer Americans employed now than we had 7 years ago. How is that possible?
Well, you know, we have not had much of a recovery at all, despite what other people have said, despite what you've heard from the Obama administration. This has been an abysmal recovery. Economic growth has been far slower than normal for a recovery, about a third what the normal recovery is, and we have a huge hole in our economy where there should be GDP. We did some calculating ourselves, and we figured there was about $1.3 trillion missing from GDP as a result of slower growth during the Obama recovery.
That's pretty brutal.
It's unbelievably large, and it means thousands of dollars for every working American out there.
Well, Andrew, every year we have more Americans graduating but competing for fewer jobs. Is this the new normal? Should we just adjust our expectations and not hope for too much?
It seems like it. You know, I don't think anybody knows people who haven't lost jobs, lost homes, lost marriages, and that creates a whole air of uncertainty and unease, I think, in the country. And you saw it in the 2010 midterms. We'll see whether we see it again in 2014. But there's, because of the policies of this administration, and his party, you're seeing the lack of growth that Terry talked about. You know, in January, the employment gains were the largest in Nevada, Texas, Arizona, and Ohio. What do they have in common? Republican governors. And the largest job losses were in California, Illinois, and Kentucky, Democrat governors. The worst unemployment, Rhode Island, Democrat governor. The lowest unemployment is in North Dakota, Republican, 2.6%.
You guys actually sort of comparing and contrasting. Before the show, you were talking to me in the hall about the difference between your experience dealing with the local government at Investors Business Daily's offices here in California and the ones in Texas. Just sort of briefly summarize how that goes.
Yeah, we have Texas operations now. We never had them before, but in the last few years, we had to expand. We were not able to expand in California. It was just made impossible, virtually impossible, because of regulations and taxes and all sorts of other things. So we were forced to expand in Texas, and the Texan officials there couldn't have been warmer in their welcome. Stark contrast to California, where whenever you get a phone call, it's usually a threat or to tell you you're in violation of something. But there it was a warm welcome, and we like having you here, and we hope you profit from it. So it's like night and day.
Yeah, well, I noticed Rick Perry's even running TV ads here in California, which has got to hurt. Well, you know, not everything's going down. Home prices are going up. Take a look at this graph from the S&P Case-Shiller Index. It shows home prices rising dramatically in the last year. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the very types of risky loans that got us into the last mess, ARMs or adjustable rate mortgages, are rising in popularity again. Terry, are we in a new housing bubble, or is this a sign of economic recovery?
I fear we are in a new housing bubble, and I'll tell you why. I'm not by nature a gloomy person. I'm by nature an optimist. But we're duplicating the mistakes we made in the earlier housing bubble. We have the same programs in place, basically. We're trying to get as many poor people as possible to own homes. We're giving them out based on things that have nothing to do with creditworthiness. As you mentioned, a lot of the home loans now are adjustable rate mortgages. We have very low interest rates. So right now, everything pencils out, basically. You have a 2.5%, 3% mortgage. It's pretty easy to pay. But when interest rates rise to just to normal levels, it's going to be disastrous. People are going to find themselves underwater overnight.
Now, why in God's name would anybody take an adjustable rate mortgage now with rates this low?
It's foolish. It's just plain foolish.
But it's good politics. And the houses sell. And as I understand it, you correct me if I'm wrong, the underwater home inventory has been pretty much worked through in a lot of places, especially in the West.
But aren't a lot of investing big Wall Street companies basically buying these foreclosed houses and then renting them back out now? Is that what's happened to some of that inventory?
Yeah, it's actually more profitable to rent them than to sell them off right away. So they will probably continue doing that for some time, and that will add some support to the market. But again, these interest rates where they are now, it's not normal. And once they go up, there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure put on the housing market.
Well, let's take that a step further. Between Obamacare and inflation, debt, or something else, so what is it that keeps you up at night?
The thing that keeps me up, inflation is a big concern. The official measures of inflation don't show any. And you say, well, that's not a problem then. Well, I actually don't agree with that. If you look at the measures of inflation that most immediately impact people, and that includes energy and food, they're up by over 25% over the last 10 years. And in recent months and years, they've spiked very sharply. And key food things that people eat, chicken, up almost 60%, I think, in the last 5 years.
Bacon, 3 times the rate of inflation. Bacon, this is tragic.
Yeah.
Well, this is a national treasure, bacon.
Absolutely.
You can't have bacon out of here. Well, beef prices are high. No, as they say, inflation's not a problem as long as you don't shop or drive your car.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Well, Andrew, let's try to end on a positive note. What's our best hope for bouncing out of this mess?
2016. Well, it's very slow, and Terry and I were talking. I don't really see any imminent change in that. It's just more slow. And Obama's going around saying how patient everybody. Of course, we've made great improvements, which my neighbors can't see. But we still have more to do, and well, that's for sure. So you mentioned the 3 million fewer jobs. Well, that's 3 million fewer people paying taxes, buying stuff, buying cars, and plus the unease that comes with it. I used to live in New York City way back before Rudy Giuliani. Everybody had been mugged or knew somebody who had been, and that shaped the way you lived. And the economic uncertainty is doing the same thing, I think, to Americans, reshaping how they spend.
Well, I think that's right. The administration talks about job lock in the context of health insurance, but the other thing that gives you job lock is when there's not another job you can move to. And the best cure for job lock is a booming economy where you have lots of alternatives, and we certainly don't have that.
And the freedom of unemployment, which I haven't quite
Fun employment, I think we're calling it. Well, on that note, we'll end. Thanks so much. It's Terry Jones and Andrew Malcolm from Investors Business Daily. And for more from them, go to the Investors Business Daily website at investors.com. For Andrew Malcolm and Terry Jones, I'm Glenn Reynolds here on InstaVision. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, have fun on the internet. Thanks.